Okay, I couldn't let this day go by without giving another demonstration of how easy it is to hoodwink people into buying into utter evil with very poor reasoning. Bernie Sanders posted yesterday, I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. This is the words of Joe Rogan. He's endorsing Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. I'm gonna play little clips of this. I can only play like 9-second clips. If I go to the 10-second mark, the Joe Rogan podcast really bears down on YouTube channels who do that. So just bear with me while I interrupt what Joe Rogan is saying. Joe Rogan says he's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life, and that in and of itself is a very powerful structure to operate from. Oh, really? I challenge that thought. Listen to Joe Rogan.
Who are you going to vote for in the primary?
I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. Him as a human being, when I was hanging out with him, and
Yeah.
I believe
Him as a human being. How about him as a socialist? You guys know what socialism is. Socialism is utterly evil. Well, what makes socialism evil? Socialism is the ideology that stands on the skulls and the bones of the people who trusted socialists. Socialism leads to mass incarceration, mass removal of individual liberties, and mass death.
believe in him. I like him. I like him a lot. What Bernie stands for is a guy who, well, look, you could dig up dirt on every single human being that's ever existed if you catch.
Yeah, of course you can dig up dirt on every single human being, every single political parasite, but that's not the point. What does this particular political parasite, Bernie Sanders, stand for? He stands for democratic socialism. What is socialism? Socialism is the redistribution of wealth. How do they redistribute that wealth? Also, it's gun control. Gun control is a euphemism for people control. So how does Bernie want to distribute that wealth? How does he want to redistribute that wealth to others who haven't earned it? He does it by the barrel of a government gun. He does it through the initiation of force and violence, Joe Rogan.
That's ever existed. If you catch them in their worst moment and you magnify those moments and you cut out everything else and you only display those worst moments.
You don't have to do that with Bernie Sanders. Bernie is who he's always been. He's always been a socialist. Socialism has always been antithetical to true liberty. Socialism is against free speech. Socialism is against gun rights. Socialism is against your right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. And I don't care about consistency. The thing that counts is consistency on a moral foothold. Consistency on the bedrock of truth. Consistency on the ideology that I will not violate your rights to accomplish my objectives.
That said, you can't find very many with Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same.
Yes, that's true. He's been insanely, consistently evil and promoting evil his entire life, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, put me on your podcast and let's talk about real things. Let's talk about real evil. Let's define evil. Let's define those who propagate and support and uphold and facilitate evil on this planet. Let's talk about Bernie Sanders. Let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang and Joe Biden and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life. And that in and of itself is...
You don't get points for that. If you've consistently been for immorality your entire life, you are an immoral person. If you've been consistently for evil and for taking property that doesn't belong to you by the barrel of a government gun all your life, you don't get points for that. There is no moral high ground in that. And moral high ground is what you want to look for in a leader if you were going to look for a leader. Bernie Sanders is not that guy, because Bernie Sanders is the guy who all his life has promoted evil, who's promoted the socialist ideology, the country destroying socialist ideology.
It's a very powerful structure to operate from.
It's amazing, guys. And, you know, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this, negative and positive. A lot of people are coming out against Bernie. This person, Alexis Goldstein, says, I really like Bernie and am disappointed to see the campaign boost Rogan, who has made some very anti-trans comments I really hope the campaign reconsiders. You only have to reconsider one thing. It's not what Joe Rogan says about transgenders or whatever. It's about promoting a political parasite who promotes an ideology that literally destroys countries, and we can see that throughout the pages of history. If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, Joe. This one says, Joe Rogan also had friendly interviews with Milo Yiannopoulos and Jordan Peterson, yelled, "You're effing man" on air about a trans woman, vocally argued against allowing trans kids puberty blockers this year, says F and believes the world is stacked against men, so enjoy. So there's a lot of people on both sides of this, but the bottom line is Joe Rogan, a lot of people call him a shill. And I can see why people call him a shill, because I don't think Joe Rogan is stupid. Matter of fact, he comes off as very intelligent, very knowledgeable about a lot of things, but this is how easy, this is the inner workings of the psychological operation of the left versus right paradigm lie, where people feel like they're painted into a corner of and have to vote for certain political candidates who fit their ideology. If your ideology is evil, you'll gravitate toward evil people like the Bernie Sanders of the world. Guys, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I wanted to share it with you right now because it's actually trending on Twitter as we speak, and I wanted to get your take on it. So leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.